Welcome everybody to Got a Lot on Our Minds. My name is Stevie B. You can follow me at StevieB_pod. I actually made a new Instagram so that I can be active and do shit. So follow me there. My co-host.
What's going on? I am Kells. You can find me at Kells55, and the business account is Iconic Visions with an EYE. And it's about time you got a fucking good account that we can just blast. But today we have another very special guest. His name is Nick Bailey. He is a photographer, videographer, entrepreneur, comedian, and
friend of the show.
Yes, exactly. So
listener of the show, we appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate it. So it's a pleasure having you, Nick. What's going on?
Gentlemen, how you guys doing on this fine Sunday morning?
I'm feeling good, man.
Yeah, it's early, but we up, we living, so it's a good morning.
This isn't even the earliest I wake up on Sunday. I'd be waking up at like 10 or 11 right now.
Oh yeah? Yeah. See, I have a problem sleeping, so like even on an off day, I'm like up at like 5 or 6.
Chris, I've known you maybe like 4 years. I think you're a vampire by now.
Honestly, I might be. I might be. I really might be. I don't know. It's something.
Someone look at him.
His sleeping pattern is taking years off his life. That's what he's doing.
There we go.
There's a lot of things that are taking years off my life. Eating, sleeping, the usual.
We were talking about this yesterday, and about like taking years off your life and kind of shit like that.
Yeah.
But we were talking about like energy drinks at work and stuff like that, and we're like, is this gonna be one of those things like how like when they first started smoking, everyone's like they're smoking in the car, smoking at home, they're letting their baby smoke, and then they're like, oh hey, by the way, this might kill you, and like is in like 15 years from now they're like, oh listen, by the way, these energy drinks might make you like your liver fail or something like that. I'm gonna be like, oh okay, this is what's gonna do us in here. Honestly,
I feel like probably the people who don't want to quit smoking, because I'm like, energy drinks, yeah, whatever happens.
I've never had an energy drink in my life.
Oh wow, good for you.
I think
everybody's always trying to like hype up Red Bull or Monster or like anything for me, even like 5 Hour Energy, and I'm just like nah, because I've seen people just get like super drowsy after like a couple hours after drinking those, and then ends up them drinking 3 more cans, whatever. It's like, stick to the coffee.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely a rise and then a fall, where coffee is more of a level, like it wakes you up more, where the energy drinks definitely like pump your heart, like at least for me, like it makes my heart move more, where coffee like wakes up my head. If this makes any sense, am I just talking bullshit here?
No, it's weird for me. Like there's days where it's exactly as you described, but then there are days where I just feel like super hot and I still feel like super tired though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've had my, my problems with energy drinks, especially in college. There was the one, we used to call the Phoenix with a friend, and, we would drink. It's like pretty much like a tall boy. I forget how many ounces are in it. But it was a Monster, and it had like the Phoenix emblem, and we would just drink one of those. And it got to the point where like, I started getting like nosebleeds from it. So I was like, I need to stop this.
You are a vampire, Chris.
Yeah. And then like the other one, the Rockstar, Steve was getting like, I think it was like a 300 milligram of energy, or it was like 250 with the Rockstars.
Yeah.
And one day he dropped one of them, and it punctured and it started like spraying out. So I like picked it up, and Steve was like, just toss it. I was like, you know what? I'll drink it. And I like pounded it before it fucking like all came out. And I didn't realize that was like one of the first times I had like higher milligrams of caffeine. And we were in class at OC, and I was literally like shaking because I had so much at one time. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, what the fuck did you do to me? Like, what was in this one? And then like another day I looked at how much was in it, and I was just like, yeah, that was a lot. Because I think usually the normal Red Bull has like 120 or 160, something like that.
Yeah.
So it was like double or 100 more, and I was just shaking.
Oh man.
But I mean, that's my experiences with it. I just drink it because most of the time I'm traveling a little bit for shooting and kind of need something. I'll get that or Dunkin.
Oh, you get your Dunkies.
Yeah, my caramel
What's so bad about
frappuccino,
donkeys?
my caramels and all the goodness.
There's nothing bad about Dunkies. I love Dunkies. I'm with
Love
Nick. I'm with you. Where
There we
your
go.
Snapchat yesterday. Why are you paying fucking $9 for
I was
a cup of
about to say
coffee?
that.
I'm literally the same as you. I don't go to Starbucks at all. I'm
Yeah,
not.
you probably seen like the Starbucks in Middletown next to the Panera, how the cars go all
All
the
the way
to, like,
out.
Red
Yep.
Lobster sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then they got the one I took was right next to Buffalo Wild Wings, and that one's brand freaking new. And that one, like, I was meeting someone like I sold a pair of shoes on Facebook yesterday, so he said, meet me at Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm like, okay. And it was hard to get in that lot because everybody's just jam packing the Starbucks drive through. I'm like, it's not that good coffee to
So
just wait on this line.
wait, I didn't even know that they opened up a second one like literally a mile away.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
There's
technically what, 3 in Middletown, or is there 4? I always forget. 'Cause they got one in the mall too.
What? Where have I
Yes.
been?
So technically, there's.
When's the last time?
I only know this because I know someone who used to work for the company. There's two. There's technically 3. So there's the 2 stores, and then there's the one in Target. But the one in Target is not considered. I forget what term they used for it, but it's like a remote location. But they don't consider it like an actual, Dunkin Don or not. I'm sorry, Starbucks in the area. So when like they count them up, I guess they only count the 2, and then the one in the mall is like its own thing.
That's probably because it like probably doesn't have like the full menu.
Well, yeah,
kind
it
of
doesn't have
thing,
like
or
the full.
Yeah.
The full, yeah.
It's more like an express thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I totally forgot about that one in the mall, but I have seen it. Yeah. I mean, the only thing I really get from there is a caramel frap. I love my frappies. But otherwise, yeah, I don't really like. I don't drink Starbucks like crazy, and I would never wait on a line for it. So, but yeah, moving on. So
Enough coffee talk.
we want to enough coffee talk. We've had enough coffee for the day, hopefully. But yeah, so you're an up and coming comedian. So
I think so.
Well, I mean, hey, you just got to believe it, right? That's what I'm told.
I believe so.
Exactly.
And it shall be.
Right. So it was written. But yeah, so like, if you want to take us a little bit through the journey or like kind of how you got started on that.
I'm just gonna make it like a long story short. So before I met you guys, there was just this random day in 2015 where, like, in the long run, I was like listening to like a lot of, let's say, Daniel Tosh, Louis C.K., Chris Rock, like the main guys, like the big mainstream guys. And just one random day, I went to an open mic in Warwick, and I just did 5 minutes there, and I crushed it. So then I did another mic, and I bombed miserably there. So, like, I wasn't really like balls deep into like doing stand-up comedy. So there was a point where I was doing it once in a while, maybe like once a month, something like that. But at the point when I met you guys at OC, it was just like us making like little YouTube skits and stuff like that. So I was focusing more on comedy writing and skits and sketches rather than doing actual stand-up comedy. So I didn't really start doing this full-fledged up until maybe like a couple of years ago.
Okay. So what do you feel like that first time that you bombed? Like, what was that like? Did you kind of like think you had to think what you want to do? I mean, it's kind of like in the beginning, so you didn't know if you really wanted to fully go into it, but was it weird being on the stage and just like not getting reactions?
Were you like, fuck this, I'm never doing this again?
Exactly. Like I said, it was 2015. So this is when Donald Trump was first starting his announcement for presidency, whatever. So
such a long time ago.
It was like, I remember that very day too. I just woke up to the news and just seeing that I'm running for president of the United States. I'm like, good luck with that, buddy. Next day, he paid people to be at his rally. I'm like, well, that's the way to do it. But on top of that, like, I was just writing a whole bunch of like political one-liner jokes, and I practiced those at that one mic, and it just didn't work. Like, people, I don't know whether it was people didn't understand it or if they didn't want to hear it.
Right.
because it's not where we are now, where I don't want to hear what the president has to tweet today. It was more like, I don't care about Republican, Democrat, authoritarian, blah, blah, blah. Just, I, what one thing I learned is that each place you go to, you have to understand what the venue is
Mm.
like, because I left out a detail. This place was like a more of a music open mic. So they were wondering why a comedian was there, but still they should respect like someone that really can't do this unless I'm going all the way to New York City is trying to practice his craft here, aka me. And you're not going to appreciate that. Never come in here again. Take my business elsewhere.
And that was at the time when like kind of Donald had already like solidified he was running as a Republican, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, because I feel like, I mean, I could be wrong, but Warwick kind of leans a little bit more conservative too. So, I mean, I don't know if they.
It's a pretty weird mix. Like,
Is it? Okay.
Every other house, you'll see a house with a Trump flag, see a house with a Biden Harris sign.
Okay, so then yeah,
it's a nice little melting pot around
that's
here.
good. Then yeah, I mean, go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Then yeah, probably like that's a good point to like make that like kind of a music venue. Might kind of dictate how your comedy has to go. So I'm sure like as you grow and learn different venues and like where you're going to be and what kind of crowd's going to come, you might have to like just change up some certain jokes or kind of do some, I don't know, freestyling or something.
Yeah, one thing I started doing now, like, because I'm not going back to this one particular mic ever again. Their name doesn't deserve to be on this podcast. However, when I have hit up a few different venues in the past year that specifically do music, but it's still an open mic, so take what you can get. So I've been practicing a music bit in my comedy. So it's 5 to 6 straight minutes of me talking about music, like pop culture stuff and old stuff from like 70s, 80s, whatever. And it's mostly built upon one-liners, but it's a nice flowing bit. So for the record, I'm not telling any of my jokes on here because you should come to my show, people.
Yes.
If I ever have another after this lovely COVID season. But yeah, like I practiced these music bits at the music mics and they've worked better than any other bit. And I figure if I'm going to be here, I might as well stick to that topic because I don't want to waste 5 minutes talking about coffee or dicks or whatever.
Right. I wish our area, and maybe I'm a little naive to it, but I wish there was more places that did comedy open mics around here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Orange County really doesn't have a lot. Like I heard there used to be 2. There was one in Monroe Woodbury, but the owner had a problem with the host, so that got shut down. There was one at the Newburgh bowling alley, but I don't think the host had like the time to do it anymore. So in this county, honestly, the only place that comedy was around for a little bit was at Tapped in Middletown, you know, like a little bit across from the DMV.
Yeah. Yep.
Shout out to Ryan Denisco, host and bartender at Tapped. He was keeping that ship afloat for a little bit because there was just people coming and going. And like I said, the mics were shutting down here and there. So he's really, really kept it afloat just right in the heart of Middletown.
Well, because I see a lot of places that do they like to do like trivia night. And I know that's like a big thing for like, I guess if you have kids maybe, or, it's a
family friendly.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I get that, like you want to do that. And every now and then, like me and Jess have gone to like a couple of them and they're fun. You have fun. But if the every first Tuesday of the month you knew was like an open mic, because I enjoy stand-up comedy, that would be something that I would definitely like, and Nick, I wish I could have made some of your shows. I always have to work Saturday nights and it never fucking worked out. So I apologize.
Oh, it's fine. I'm not doing any shows until until this freaking vaccine is made.
Yeah. No, that's smart. I think truthfully, like bars would be a good spot to do it because you have the like people continually drinking kind of thing, and I think it would just be a good mix of just entertainment and having fun with friends.
Well, and then if it's a bar, then more or less they're 21 or over, so then you can have your adult humor.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
even like breweries, like Tapped, obviously, if the Newburgh Brewery did it, I think that'd be pretty cool.
They got like teenagers coming into Tapped all the time, but you know, they got to get checked ID, whatever. They're responsible with that stuff there because, you know, it's like that part of Middletown is like incredibly gentrified. Like all those buildings are old bus garages and old warehouses and stuff like that. So they're, and I'm saying this because like they're giant places like Tapped. You'd think for like a little bar restaurant, it'd be like, okay, they're just wings and they, you know, it's a little patio with the garage up front and then that long stretch up top. So they got to figure, okay, we got a lot of people coming in. We got to be responsible for whoever's coming in.
Yeah. Shout out them though. Their food is really good.
I love it.
Yeah.
Great wings, chicken and waffles. They got the brunch and all that.
Yeah, their food's awesome. We love it there.
And I was gonna tell Chris before, going back to like each venue matters on what you want to do. You're gonna have a hit or miss no matter where you go. But let's say, okay, I'm really trying to work on this 5 minutes of this material. When it comes to bars, it depends really where you go to, because you could be going to a bar like Tapped where everybody's just trying to kick back. Oh, they're doing comedy here. Okay, let's listen. But then you could go to like this random hole in the wall dry bar where people are just getting fucked up and like, oh, I'm going to ruin this guy's day. And people can get into fights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've seen some crazy stuff happen, even at Tapped. You guys remember Billy Doyle, right?
Yeah.
My good friend Billy Doyle. There was this moment back, I think in February, I'd like to say. We've never had this happen before. We would have like a drunk heckler or whatever just yell at us for 10, 20 seconds, whatever. But there was a guy drinking so much one night, he stood up and went up to the mic as Billy was performing. And he was like trying to grab the mic, like, come on, man, let me get a set. It's like, hey, if you want a set, sign up, man. He just wouldn't leave him alone. So it came to a point where this drunk guy was going on. We like looked at our watches. I'm like, this dude's been talking for more than 10 minutes now. You have like crazy people like that. And even after the shows, or the mics, I should say, too, if one thing comedy has taught me as well is that no matter where you go, you have to understand that not everybody has a sense of humor. I've dealt with ridiculous amounts of crazy people. Chris, I didn't tell you this. I told Steve this when I saw him the other day. Lovely shift at Chili's. Thank you for the nice meal. Good, sir.
Yeah, man.
So this was also a night at Tapped, probably about a year ago. So this will be the only thing I will tell over the podcast in a sec, but I have this one bit about when I was working at Bethel Woods, how I met Kevin Hart. He came with his Irresponsible tour. And
I was actually at that. I was actually there. I was in the crowd.
There we go. I saw you there.
Yeah, man. Shout out you.
Back to business. So that was a very, very interesting day. I will get to that in a little bit. But as I was telling the joke about that day at Tapped, like, this was probably the best I've ever done that night with the joke. I'm like, oh, great. I killed this finally. I have to work on a little bit, but it worked. So after the mic is over, I'm just hanging out with some guys outside, smoking some cigarettes and whatever. But then one of the guys I saw sitting at the bar comes up to me. He's like, hey, man, I used to work at Bethel Woods, too. I'm like, oh, shoot. Were you a production runner? Were you backstage at all? He's like, no, I was a janitor. Oh, okay. Nice. Nice to meet you, man. But then
bud.
It wasn't even like, whenever people come up to me after the set, they're like, oh, dude, I like that joke that you did about whatever. And that's it. But this guy was just rambling like a motherfucker. Like, I don't even know what it was. You have people in your life that branch off 50 topics to another, like we did with coffee before. But like this one guy was like, oh, yeah, I worked backstage, but I was just a janitor, and I scrubbed the toilets after the celebrities took a shit, and then I like when they didn't need me, that I would go on the lawn. You know, up on the lawn, and I'm just like, I'm ahhing this guy to death, and I'm like, before I could say, all right, man, nice to meet you. Have a good, he goes, oh yeah, yeah. And then after that, they would make me go to the parking lot. And I'm like, what? Why is this guy feeding me his day? So it comes to a point I just start to like fast walk away. I'm like, yeah. That's not, I can't say, see you later, pal. This dude just keeps talking and he's following me to my car, guys. He's following me and he won't stop till it comes to a point where I'm like, all right, man, have a good night. It's just slam my freaking car door. I just drift out of there. And he's like, what the hell? What did I do? Just crazy people.
There's no shame in being a janitor.
No.
And doing any of that type of job. But there is something about being nuts.
You're a janitor and you're trying to freaking cut my ears off.
Yeah, I was gonna say being a little crazy though. That's the
tipping point. Yeah, I mean the people at some point you gotta like understand, like either wrap it up or move on.
That's where like you see the meme where it's like, if you're in New York, by the third, yo, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that means all right, wrap your shit up. I'm done listening.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure people that say that's crazy will blow the freaking brains out after listening to that guy.
Oh man. Next time I go to Bethel, I'm gonna try to find him.
Just beat him up for me, please. I don't feel like seeing him ever again. I might. Who knows?
So when you're with the process, like, do you have with the joke writing process? Does it obviously a good part of it is probably just your natural sense of humor and just the way you think.
Yep.
Right. But then, like you said, you're working on a joke, so you take it to like one open mic, and like you said, like it might not work, and you're like, all right, like I didn't get the reaction I wanted, but I know there's something here. Maybe I just gotta change the delivery a little bit or something like that. Like, is it like a process kind of?
There's like a lot of random steps you got to take. Really, you think the step is just write it, see if people laugh at it, and that's it. It becomes just a rabbit hole of, oh wait, this can be a lot funnier, and eventually in the future you will turn. Let me just bring this up as an example. Like, you know where I live, Florida, New York. I used to have a 10-second joke about that. I've now made 5 minutes out of it. And think that's a lot for just talking about my town. But I'm not just talking about a random town in the middle of Orange County, New York. I'm just talking about like what this town has upon growing up in a small farm town, having the mix of Democrat versus these fake rednecks that I grew up with, people that are like throwing up Southern pride, but then they're playing the Biggie Smalls album later in the day. That's literally what I grew up with. Like, I've heard guys on my BOCES bus back in high school, like quoting Django Unchained, like harshly using the N-word significantly to the fullest extent, just memorizing that movie. And then later that same day on the bus, one of them brings a boombox on, and I'm hearing like Hypnotize play. I'm like, huh? Am I in the right dimension? Am I in the right tier of? Oh God, I there's just so much random shit. So within that Florida, New York joke, it was just me saying, guys, I come all the way from Florida to do this stand-up comedy for you. Florida, New York. It's like Paris, Texas, or Georgia, Europe, Asia, whatever it is. You're good at that. But then I just decided to like branch up on all the stereotypes of a small town and just story tell as well. Like, because, you know, I'm right next to Warwick. So Warwick has so many celebrities coming through for no reason, just randomly. Like, and one of the jokes I tell, I say like, Brad Pitt's been here, Leonardo DiCaprio's been here, the Wu-Tang Clan was here last year. I found this out not too long ago. Michael Jackson was here, I think, in the late 90s. They filmed little snippets of his one later track, Earth Song, whatever. But all these A-list people have came to town, and the most I get to brag about is an 18-time Grammy Award winner for polka music, Jimmy Sturr. Yeah, that guy. That's all we have here. And a homeless man named Chad, and that's about it. Those are the two most important people we have around here. So I'm going to try to be the third most important person here.
Oh, man. That's actually very funny to me because I did an internship at a radio station in Warwick.
WTBQ.
Yeah, I did. I was there for like a little over a month, and but all the one woman, she just always talked about Jimmy Stir.
Ugh, hate
Like,
her already, and I don't even
who
know her.
who the fuck is this guy? And they're like
The Polka King.
they market him like and not for nothing, like I guess like he is talented at what he does, but they're like
Because
the
he's
way
the
they
only
would
one doing it.
yeah they would build it up the same way, and they're like Grammy winner and all time musician. I'm like, oh, what are we talking about? And they're like polka music, Jimmy Stir, and I'm like, what? Huh? And then they're like, oh, he'll be at this place, and I'm like, who the fuck's going to that?
Everybody in my town at the Florida Family Fun Fest sucks
I
eggs.
guess, I mean, to each his own. It is what it is. But like,
Just letting you know, proud viewers, I've got a lot on our minds. I will say this sucks eggs a lot, no matter where you listen to me.
this
This
sucks.
Florida Family Fun Fest sucks eggs.
I think it's funny because like also, you're building it up, and if you're like somewhere in the city or something, people are like, oh, he's from Florida. And then like quickly it gets cut down to just like this small town.
That's what I do. That's what I've done that at a couple of my shows. I hit up the Broadway Comedy Club and the Greenwich Village Comedy Club. I'm like, guys, I'm coming all the way from wherever. And they're like, oh my gosh, he's overly dedicated. We better give him his energy that he needs. I'm like, Florida, New York. It's an hour and a half from here.
And then, yeah, you kind of like cut it down and like go back to like knowing where you're from. So you're like, Florida,
And
New York.
the thing I try to do is like, besides the common stereotypes, I try to compare and contrast as much as I can because, like I said, each venue matters.
Mhm.
People aren't going to pay attention to what this farmhand has to say. I'm not a farmhand, by the way. I'm just
Just throwing that out there. We got to make sure that people know.
like people that grew up in Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan aren't going to know what this farm life is. So I'm going to try to just like hook on a little bit of what it would be like if this person was in the city, or compare their city trip if they were to head up to the Hudson Valley, because they do that. They go, all these city people come up here to do their hiking and apple picking and just sightseeing, breweries and stuff. So I have to find a niche within the joke. Like, I can't talk about growing up on a farm in the concrete jungle.
No,
right.
that's the main thing about a comedian. You have to kind of be relatable, even if the people don't like necessarily live that lifestyle. I think that's what sets people apart.
Yeah, and I don't consider myself to be like the funniest person, whatever. I met like so many people in this scene funnier than me in the Hudson Valley and New Jersey. But the thing that I can do is try to make my stories as relatable as possible. So what I will say is that I have jokes ranging from Florida, New York, shitty jobs that I've had over the years, from like retail to private sectors and family business, all the way up to just like a whole bunch of more pop culture stuff. So they were all sorry, Steve.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, they've all became one-liners starting off, but then I've bombed so much where after every bomb, it's so weird because it's like you think of it's not like a bad date or like you failed a test in school, like you can't do that again. With comedy, you can always do this again. So after I bomb, I'm like, I should have said this, or it would have sounded funnier if I said that. I'm like, oh, wait, I can do that at the next mic. I can do that at the next show. I can keep doing this until I perfect it, record it, and in the long run, eventually, I don't know try to like market it or sell it. I'm not too sure yet, but that's my goal for the most part. I have a half an hour of solid material, I'd like to say.
I think that's what makes like comedians so resilient, because a lot of other jobs you're kind of doing stuff behind the scenes, whereas this you kind of have to fail in public, and then you have to like develop that thick skin that like all right, yeah, I can come back and do this better, and I can do it this way, and maybe it'll be funnier if I do it like that. So I think that's really pretty cool to be able to. I mean, it takes a lot of fucking balls to go up there and just try to even start it. Like
it's still pretty scary. Like
oh
when
yeah,
like I've done the Florida joke and like the Kevin Hart joke at Bethel like so many times where it doesn't matter whether you kill or if you bum. After you said it so many times, you're like, I don't give a shit. Just get me on stage, get me off now. I've memorized this enough where I'll try to like work this out as best as I can. But I was about to say, when you're working on something entirely brand new, that's where the anxiety just like comes back into you again. Because I'm now working on a joke about like cars right now. Like the problem I have with it right now is that I sound like a car guy and I'm not at all. I'm just talking about like all the junk rust bucket cars that I've had in life. And have people gone through these problems? Have they ever drove this car to this place? And have they had this problem? But within the joke that I've been doing lately, it's me talking about like the machinery more. I'm like, oh crap, I can't do that. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy.
Right.
So that's gonna have to be worked out for a little bit.
Is and I think I know the answer to this. Like you enjoy a little dark humor here and there, right?
What makes you say that?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe just some exchanges we've had. But is there
a little birdie told him?
Yeah. Is there anything that you would think is, at least for like your public sets? Like obviously when you're joking with friends, you're in a more different setting and you can say whatever. But for your public sets, is there anything that you're like, all right, I'm not touching that over there. There's certain topics I'm not going to do, certain jokes I'm not going to make. Or is there, you kind of have like, because some guys will just be like, fuck it, I don't care. I'm saying anything. You know, like I don't care if I get in hot water. I'm just.
But also,
think
like how many times had they had to bomb to figure out that joke that they perfected too? Like,
that's a good point.
Think someone like say, I just watched his stand up a little while ago because I missed it. He's not going to be doing it for a few. Anthony Jeselnik.
Oh, I like it. He's
yeah, he said like thoughts and prayers and fire in the maternity ward, of all names you could pick. But like think he has like a 15-minute abortion joke. So think how long you had to practice that for years before putting it on Netflix.
Yeah, good Lord.
So with me anyway, it's like I'm talking about, let's say, the shitty jobs and stuff like that. It became me just like talking about the stereotypes. I keep saying that over and over, but then I decided to make myself angry in the bit. So I start like cursing like a sailor in the jokes and like saying words that I shouldn't. And like it became better doing that actually, because it's not just, oh, look, this random white kid talking about his day job. Ooh. But then I start becoming like psychotic talking about it as if it's like, oh, wait, this is the kind of personality people want to lash out at work. So they kind of want to see a little crazy, like a character almost.
Yeah.
Here's something that I just did recently. Like one thing that I never have done is crowd work really, or try to like punch back at a heckler. I was never really good at that up until like this year because like I said, I was focusing on perfecting these bits first rather than be Nick Bailey. So, and long story short, COVID season has happened. I don't know if anybody has paid attention lately to the news.
Fake news.
But let me tell you something. Masks work, but the virus isn't real. But anyway, guys, let's get back to this regularly scheduled program. So I've been going down to New Jersey a lot lately because I can't do comedy anywhere in New York. I don't want to go all the way to New York City right now, and it's a war zone, and I have to go to Central Park and run around to find pop-up open mics because that's how it is right now. So I've been going down to North Bergen, Elmwood Park, and Springfield, New Jersey. They're all like hour and a half tops, but keeps me sane. just to be able to do comedy still.
Mhm.
So at this one last mic I went to, this one joke I have in the shitty job section, it's like, I paint houses. No Robert De Niro references, please, people. You've seen The Irishman, obviously, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, that was
Wow.
like, you know, that's like the code word for like he needs a hitman or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I paint houses. Yeah, I paint houses. But the joke is that I actually paint houses for a living. So
I really do.
this
I
lady,
really paint them.
this lady blurts out in the middle of the joke. I'm like, no Robert De Niro references, please. She's like, oh, he's talking about The Irishman, right? So I'm like, no, bitch, Finding Nemo. And that, so that made everybody in the room just like crack up laughing. And it made me laugh too. I had to stop myself from laughing on stage because I never handle people like that. I'm just like, yeah, you're right. Or, shut up there. I'm like, me being a little bit of mean on the stage has helped me a little bit because I realized I'm having a tough day at work. I'm having a tough day with friends and family and just this real life shit happened. The most powerful I get to be for 5 minutes is on this stage. So do not interrupt me.
Yeah. And it probably comes to a point where you're just like, come on, like, let me just do my work. And like, even if you like didn't mean to be that mean at that point and you just like had it up to and then you see it works, you're like, fuck it. That's like kind of like a happy accident.
As a
And
person who
I've done that before, but I kind of disregard it. I just want to tell these jokes, but it's like, okay,
you're making me do
why
this.
are you interrupting me right now?
Yeah.
good for you though. I encourage you to do that more because as a person who has gone to comedy shows and who loves
bring
them,
bullying back.
Yeah. But as Jesus Christ, as a person who's gone to comedy shows and like who enjoys them and like I've always hated that person who thought it was their job to now butt in on this comic set. I'm sitting there, I'm like, shut the fuck up. Just enjoy your drink. Let the guy tell. I'm not here to watch you heckle the comic. I'm here to listen to the comic. So shut the fuck up.
The only time it's all right is if there's like an improv and they ask for your fucking opinion. And
yeah, that I try to throw in some of the jokes, like some crowd participation. Like, hey, have you ever worked this job? Hey, have you ever drove this car? It's like, have you ever heard of Florida, New York? Like dumb stuff like that. But if I'm in the middle of talking about, hey, so there's this one guy, Chris Kelly, I met the other day, and someone's like, oh, I know him too. It's like, all right.
Wasn't asking you.
It's roast battle 2020 right now.
I've also seen where like people, they'll interrupt the comic and then like they get roasted and then they get mad and it's like, what did you think they were gonna do to you?
I wonder. I often wonder stuff like that. It's like, has this person ever been to a comedy show? Are they stupid? Are they looking for attention? Like what are those moments for?
Yeah, I've never understood it.
It's just those people who like kind of think it's their right to just say whatever they want, whatever.
So Nick, who do you listen to? Like who? Like let's say, like give me like I don't know, a couple of stand-up comics that you enjoy.
Like that I've learned from the most, or just like
I would say both.
regularly?
Like maybe one that you take notes from. You know, like I don't know if this will be a direct translation, but like you know, I used to play basketball, so there were players that I would watch that I felt like I could learn something from. That like I was like, oh, okay, I see he does this. I can learn to do that. But then there were other players like, you know, like Allen Iverson, who was a little shifty guy, and I was never that. I was like, I can never do what he does, but I enjoy watching him do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, like so there's only one little piece of like each comic that I kind of like learn my stage presence. So it's not just you going up there and be funny for 5 minutes. It's about how to make yourself comfortable on stage too. So have you ever watched like
hidden gem there, right there?
There we go. Have you ever watched like he still does it too, like Dave Chappelle, like, you know, he makes himself laugh. So he always hits his hip with the microphone after saying something. It's like, that was a good, like, I still do it too. Like, that's a good muscle memory thing for me because I'll make myself laugh after like a certain joke, or if I see someone is cracking up, it gets to me. I'm like, yes, I made that person laugh. So I'm like, haha. And then I'm like, oh crap, I'm going to forget the next part of the joke. So it's sort of like me hitting myself with the microphone as like, get back to normal. Keep doing your thing. Keep doing your thing. So
Right.
because I used to like grab you, ladies and gentlemen, you can't see this except Steve and Chris. I'm currently holding my rib cage right now, just like this. I'm like, I would just pull onto my skin a lot because it's just muscle memory. It's like, you don't know what you're doing right now. This is just you making yourself comfortable. I would like grip the mic a lot. So it eventually, like I said, after you've done this so many times, you memorize it. So then you try to get your body comfortable. So I'm on this teeny tiny stage. How can I make myself comfortable? So I like pinch the bottom of the microphone now instead of just gripping it, because I'm just gripping the mic so much instead of trying to remember the joke. And then, so I just hold it from the bottom now as if I'm like just holding an ice cream cone or something like that. Usually have a hand in my pocket. Yeah, I see like other guys like say Louis C.K. or Jeselnik do that. They'll have like a hand in their pocket or just hand maybe like gripping their thigh, just like a part of your body that is just like, I don't know. I don't know what the science behind it is. It just, that's their comfort in a weird way. Or, yeah, Jeselnik once said it's like with comedy, you got to do it constantly. You can't just go to a mic once or twice a week and expect to get better. Because I know people that think I'm a professional comic. I've done shows, but they do comedy once a month. I used to do that. I couldn't call myself a comic at all at the time. So even though I'm far away from it, I'm still doing it once a week. I've done shows. I've done so much. I'm improving. I'm hanging out with people that are helping me write better. And shit, I see, guys, we're going down the rabbit hole now. I'm turning into that janitor from Taft or Bethel or whatever.
That's what this is for, though. See, he was doing it when you didn't want it. This is fine. This is what it's for.
I'm not running from my car. You're good.
Yeah,
you keep going.
But I think that's kind of like a good point you make, because there's so many, like comedy is also not just like the delivery, but it's also like your body language and what you do like before, after, leading up to the punchline. And there's a lot of things that you kind of have to account for. And yeah, I always noticed Dave doing that, like slapping his knee, but it kind of didn't like think about like that's him trying to like in that sense of it. So coming from another comedian, it's kind of cool to see that. And I know Kevin Hart laughs at a lot of his own jokes too, but I don't know if he has like a way to come back from it. But I know sometimes he just kind of like will repeat himself a couple times when he's trying to get back into the joke.
Yeah, he'll like run around a lot too and start screaming a little bit.
Yeah, but that's a cool way to look at it, kind of getting the comedian's perspective.
One thing I just learned too is that wardrobe actually kind of matters too. So like if it's the summertime and it's just like 90 something, 100 degrees out, it's like I'm wearing shorts and like a tank top to this open mic, whatever. But
you want to be fucking sweating through your shirt, like if you have a suit on or something. You're like, that guy's nervous.
But that's one thing I was about to bring up about suits actually. That's why John Mulaney wears a suit all the time now,
because he sweats.
Not sweat, because you know how he jokes about how he looks like such like a teenage kid sometimes?
Yeah.
He wears a suit because he wants to seem more grown up, more mature, be able to be taken seriously when he performs.
Gotcha.
Because I've watched his old sets. He like just wears like tattered dress shirts and t-shirts and like wrinkly pants and stuff. So people would think it's like, oh, that's a white kid that smokes weed and does nothing else. But I've studied that with other comics too. Like, let's say if I'm going to a mic in this right now, if I just came from the gym in sweatpants and like a wrinkly t-shirt, whatever, and I'm talking about an office job or something like that, people aren't going to take me seriously because of the way I'm dressed. But if I like let's say if I like wore the suit and tie and everything, and I'm just like getting down to business with this one job right now, people are going to start paying attention. Like, oh, this guy looks like he just got off of work. Let's listen to what he has to say. Wardrobe kind of
Right.
matters a little bit because
Mm.
it sort of like shows your character as
Interesting.
well.
I actually that makes a lot of sense. Now that
One
you're
thing I don't understand though is why
connecting the dots for me.
Dave Chappelle wore like a jumpsuit during the Sticks and Stones special. I don't get that aspect. He can do whatever he wants, but
I think he might have touched on that somewhere. But that's funny because like I mean I understand that aspect, but I guess I like kind of don't really care what a comedian there's the word.
Hey,
Words matter.
chameleon.
I never really like cared what they wear, and like I know John has like talked about like a joked about being like looking like a child kind of, and but like it never, like wearing a suit or wearing like tattered clothes for me never really mattered because I loved his stand up. So for me I kind of like just
Yeah, I guess you have the ability to like separate
yeah
like, the comedy from
I'm
like,
I'm kind of just there
environment.
for what they're gonna say and how they deliver it.
Anything else you want to like touch base in comedy? Because you did say you want to like get down to like another story or two or something like that.
we also wanted, well, if you got any good, I mean, you already shared a lot from them. I don't want, like I said, I want you to save stuff for your set.
Yeah, I guess the
Um,
last thing I can say is that like after bombing so much and like just trying so hard and just not being able to reach the fantasy that you want, just whether you're on stage or off stage, you don't always have to be funny. Just
Mm.
consider it as also work at a point where you want to get off stage and just kick back, have
Yeah.
a beer, whatever, just relax.
Mhm.
Because then you're gonna have people like I've had these weird moments lately. Like I'm at this golf range in my town. It's like a little bar, but they have like a little driving range. So all these people start coming, and I'm like, oh great, people from high school I don't want to deal with. I'm just pissed off now. It's like, all right, I'll just get my drink and just let me chill out. And people are coming up to me like, Nick, you're doing comedy on the Broadway stage and doing this, and then I have to be all fake about it after, like, oh, yep, you betcha, I'm gonna be doing Grease Live very soon. I'm a Broadway talent. Oh, I'm like, you didn't want to talk to me for the last decade. Why are you being so polite to me now? And they're like, oh, tell me a joke. Can you do this on that? It's like, oh yeah, come to my show.
Yeah.
And then they so
that's got to be annoying if like being that they know that that's like what you're trying to do, so they're like, oh, tell me a joke, tell us a joke, come over here, tell us a joke,
do it, be funny,
Yeah.
be funny, do it.
it's like it's an on switch.
Hey, I have a show for the next 365 days of this year. Can you oh no, I have to walk my dog to Japan, and then I have to do the dishes in the Atlantic Ocean. It's like, just say you don't want to go. That's why it's like I don't always have to be funny. It's like where it's moments like those, like, yes, I'm finally where I am. People are paying attention, and then, oh wow, still disappointed. Excellent. So I've limited it now. It's like, hey, Chris, what do you think of this joke? It's like, I'm trying to see if you guys like it, but I'm not being like, hey, I thought of this today. I better be annoying as fuck to you guys this whole time. That's other people that I met. And for me, it's just not that. So.
No, it's definitely, I think that's a good balance to keep you sane too. Because if you're constantly trying to like, if every interaction that you have with just people in general, if you're like, well, I was trying to be funny and they didn't laugh, you drive yourself fucking nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like you need the
I
off switch.
guess it's like
where
an
you
ego
just-
thing too. It's like, oh, I better do this all the time.
Right.
But no.
Yeah, I mean, like I know that I'm kind of like funny with my friends group and stuff, but it doesn't mean like I'm gonna hop on a stage and try to do that. You know, there's like a different balance. Like I feel like I'm more situational funny, where I can do the comedy, like if people are saying stuff. But if I had to go up and like kind of make my own material, obviously it's like a practice thing. But I just don't like being in front of people like that right now, so I'd have to warm up to it.
Well, I've had conversations with people before, and they're like, Well, I think I could do it. And I'm like, I don't think you could. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, no. You have like inside jokes with your friends that they think are
I
funny.
Yeah,
can't tell you
exactly.
how much
You have to go make the general public laugh. I don't think you can do that.
That's a lot different.
Yeah.
It comes to a point where I start roasting motherfuckers now because they're like, "Oh, you do comedy? Oh man, I should do it someday." I'm like, "Will you? Will you now? You want to come with me? I'll teach you how to do it." Oh, whoa, dude.
I was just joking. I was just joking. See, I was being a comedian.
But I, it grinds my gears, kids. It grinds the gears.
I hear you.
But I've gotten a lot of people, like I've met a lot of people like that. They'll bring like a dozen of their friends to say a bar or like a club, whatever, and it'll be like an open mic night there. But they'll bring just a dozen people there. I'm like, oh shit, this guy's legit. And I figure out when he gets up on the mic, he's like, oh, it's my first time doing comedy, and everybody's like applauding that. I'm like, be funny.
That's where the bar is now.
Yeah.
Getting a participation trophy. Here we go.
There we go.
Like, and I know, and I met a ton of people that like would do comedy they would do it for like a month and then they would never show up again. It's like, it was just, like I said, an ego boost for them. Right. I said that weird, ego boost. It's an ego boost.
It sounds like a car. The car has ego boost.
Ego boost engaged.
I'm gonna add that to the car joke.
There you go.
But like, there was this one time this kid brought 20 people to a mic once, an open mic. I'm like, what the? So he goes up and he starts bragging about how he goes to ACH. Mm-hmm. And then, but he was getting like reactions and like standing ovations and stuff. And I'm like, what the?
That's also
he's not being funny.
Yeah, but you're also just catering to your friends. So if you have 20 people who you know who like know your comedy, that's really not going to help you when you go to somewhere where they're not there. Then you're going to go there and everybody's going to like not laugh, and you're going to be like, "What the fuck? I thought it was funny."
I get so caught up in like the anger of it. Like, why are they laughing? This kid's not being funny. It's like, oh, because it's people that he knows.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because everybody else will have such a bad night. You'll have like all my other friends that are trying to work on their sets too, but after their friend goes up, they're not paying attention anymore. It can be like that wherever you go.
Well, I think for someone who actually would like to, in a perfect world, pursue this and try to make something of it, it's not beneficial for you in the long run to just bring a posse of yes men with you to laugh at you wherever you go. It's better if you roll solo and you work on your craft and you can make, because there'll be a certain point in time where those people are not in that crowd, I
mean, it works for some people. You can be a president of the United States. All you got to do is pay them.
Oh, God damn it. So, anyway.
No more politics.
Yeah.
So, as you mentioned before, you had done some work at Bethel.
Yes, I have.
As a production runner, which you also said was basically like being a PA. You want to give a little rundown of how that went, and like, obviously you said the Kevin Hart, like, did you get to meet him, or was there other celebrities that you met?
I had a heart to heart with Kev for 5 seconds.
Nice.
But I met him. Very nice. Cool.
Yeah.
His team was very unwelcoming, but Kevin Hart himself was very nice.
Hey, I feel like...
Is he really that short? He's really that short?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But this is what a day in the life was like. So, worked at Bethel Woods, Center for the Arts, Sullivan County, New York. Don't go there. Anyway, so my day in the life was my boss would text me. He would like, I need you at either say 6 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m. at most. But they would be days ranging from 14 to maybe 18 hours. So let's say I'm going to give out my first job, the first job that I did. So my boss said, come to K-Fest 6 a.m. So that was a day, because for the first 3 hours, I was kind of doing nothing. I was just making sure people get into the parking lot on time, making sure people are clocked in, and setting up snacks in the dressing rooms and making sure there's the right furnitures and the right rooms at the right times for this person because they're a VIP. And then the rest of the day became just celebrity meltdowns and drama and stuff like that. Like,
that's the good stuff.
We all know Skywalker of K104
Yeah, shout out Sky.
and Steve.
Shout out Sky. Good guy.
Great guy.
So I was kind of like hanging out with him most of the day for a little bit because backstage it's separated into two wings. The first wing is like where the loading area and the offices are, and the second wing is where like the dressing rooms and catering is. So I was in like the more catering side because as all the office stuff and the meltdown phone calls and just all this crazy. I was just hanging out with Sky and just seeing what celebrity is doing their interview next and who's coming in, who's coming to the bay.
That you're talking like that little patio, like right behind the stage,
Correct.
back there. Right. Okay. Yeah.
So that whole day was just me running around and like shopping and driving people to their locations. Like I would have to transport bus drivers and other workers to the other sides of the parking lot or as far as their hotels, maybe the airport.
Wow.
And I think you mentioned one thing to me. You said that, yeah, there were some meltdowns, and I think there were maybe 4 or 5 that whole day at K-Fest. So I'm not just dealing with one celebrity's temper tantrum. I'm dealing with 5 of them. So here's a perfect one. Jason Derulo. He was supposed to headline that entire night, I think. Like him or Sean Paul. No. Never again. I don't like that guy after that day.
What happened? What did he do?
So he was like, it was weird. His team and his family came. They were all hanging out in the dressing room. It was weird because like they brought us downstairs. Like Jason Derulo's in there. I'm like, oh, cool. And I thought I saw him. There was some guy in like a nice outfit and jewelry and everything. Wow, that must be him. And then I found out that he never showed up at all to Bethel. I'm like, wait, and he's supposed to do some headlining or something? It's like, no, he went all the way to Massachusetts. I'm like, what? Where's he staying? He's like, oh, he was staying at a hotel in Newburgh. I'm like, why did he go east and not west? He went 3 hours different than... So we're trying to figure out what's going on. And eventually we found out that it was like, oh, I just didn't want to. It was basically just kind of like that. He just like, oh, do I have to? No, it's melodrama bullshit.
It's Newburgh. Why am I going to Newburgh?
He's
sorry,
booked, and I was gonna say, so he's booked and marketed because they market the shit out of K-Fest.
Oh, no doubt.
As this headliner, and like for pop music, you know, he's a big name, and I'm sure back then like he had a hit single or something, and then he just doesn't show because he didn't want to.
And a lot of them just do that no matter where they go. It's like, and who knows if he was working for the last like 2 weeks without a day off, he might just come to a point where it's like, I'm not doing this place. Just give me the day off, whatever. And yeah, I found out like a lot of people do that. I went to go see Kings of Leon at Bethel a few years ago. I was supposed to see them 6 or 7 years ago at Bethel. And they're like, oh, they had a tour bus accident, blah, blah, blah. And I found out through some people backstage, they said, oh yeah, they never had a tour bus accident at all. They just didn't want to perform.
That's so fucked up.
So with Jason Derulo, that was like the main thing for the whole day because like I think people expected him of like anybody else to be there. So the other people that had the meltdowns, there was Austin Mahone, because that when he heard that Jason Derulo's not coming, he was like, oh man, I gotta perform and I gotta freaking bring these people out and I gotta do this. I'm like, okay, Austin's a bitch. Next. And this one, I think you asked me about, Steve, Sean Paul, right?
Yeah, you told me about this before. Yeah.
So he was the busiest one we had to cater for. Like him, he brought his whole team and everything. And I think he requested like 50 spicy chicken sandwiches from like a local restaurant because he's Jamaican. He needs his spicy food. And so it was like stuff like that I remembered. Like he wanted these specific items and this food and this and that. And he was satisfied for the most part of the day. But when I heard, oh yeah, Jason's definitely not coming to Bethel now, he was like, I didn't see it, but people said he was like running around and like throwing stuff in his dressing room and like just having this temper tantrum backstage, just like, oh, I have to go up next. What about him? Why not him? I don't know if it's like just if it's on like just a time sheet or something like that or whatever. But there was just so much to handle that I had to deal with.
That was like your first day at Bethel?
First very day.
Damn. That's
intense.
getting thrown right into the mix of it.
And then I'll try to wrap this up like who I remember just being the worst. So ready? So Neil Diamond's Sweet Caroline. That guy's an asshole.
Really? Yeah.
Yep. John Mellencamp.
Yeah.
That guy's not a nice dude. Let's see. I've met who was it? Incubus. They had like a bunch of hits in the early 2000s. Though the entire band, they think bands are still relevant and cool and popular. I'm like, no. They have that. We had so many hits in the 2000s. We deserve more respect. It's like, no, dude, Sicko Mode's playing now. Whatever. Drake's the most popular guy. Bands are obsolete. Bands are very obsolete. I'm sorry, not sorry, guy. Crap. Who else was up there that just gave me a rough time? There were a ton. 2018. Like I said, Kevin Hart was nice, but his team not so nice.
Right. Yeah.
A bunch of random stuff.
He rolled with he had a big crew with him.
Yeah, he had I think he had 2 managers that he's been with since like the 90s, and then he had people to hang out with, and then Live Nation representatives there, people doing the heavy work for him. With him, that was like an interesting day. Spoiler alert, you're about to hear my joke. More of a story, because this was the weirdest day that we had, because 2 days prior to the Kevin Hart show was Jason Aldean, country star, always sells out wherever he goes. And it was weird to me because it was within the same year of the Las Vegas shooting, because Jason Aldean was performing as the shots fired out of the Mandalay Bay Casino.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
where 50 something people wounded and however many dead, whatever the statistic was. Sorry if I messed anything up right there, but yeah, that happened. And when he came to Bethel, Jason Aldean had 2 security guards backstage. 2. Just 2. You'd think surviving the deadliest shooting in American history, this guy would have some concealed carry at least on him too. Right. But no, just 2 security guards. And Kevin Hart had 200, maybe 250 personnel that would be on the lawn, backstage, the parking lot, and police escorts and like the whole 9 yards, dude. And what wasn't normal, there were also bomb sniffing dogs, metal detecting wands, evacuation units. I'm like, what is going on right now? Kevin Hart kept it maximum security opposed to this other guy.
Right.
So within that, there were a lot of people that didn't even know that this shooting happened. So what the joke I'm trying to work on is how we're in this age of wokeness and social media and hashtag this and cancel that person that. And I've told one of my coworkers at Bethel, I'm like, why would Jason Aldean have less security than Kevin Hart? They're like, well, what's the big deal? I'm like, Kevin Hart, just a regular comic. Jason Aldean survived the deadliest shooting in American history. And my coworker said, what shooting?
Really?
God.
Really, guy?
And I went through like every detail of what happened within it. There's there wasn't just that one. There was, all these other shootings that happen in malls and schools and public centers. And wait, when? Are you sure? Really? I'm giving them the rundown.
Some people live under a rock.
What I'm trying to say with that joke, I'm throwing in all this like information and pop culture stuff that people should know, but then there's people that are completely disconnected to it. I'm like, well, Sullivan County for you.
Yeah. For real.
Oh, man.
That's crazy, man.
But
It's a bit of a different, little bit of a different world up there.
Just going straight to Bethel.
My great aunt lives up there, so I mean, good for her. Shout out her. Oh Lord, that it reminds me of some. Was that English?
Nope.
Um,
I think he was summoning a demon.
Yeah, it reminds me the way you say that, like, of some people roll. Some celebrities roll with like huge, like their posse and their security team. And I remember when I was working at Hot 97, like Snoop Dogg came in and he rolled in with some of the largest humans on earth I've ever seen. His security team was insane. And like you only saw him, like they surrounded him so well. You only saw him because he was taller than them. So you saw his head as he moved into the one room and whatever. But then they had a day where Raekwon was supposed to come. And he just shows up by himself, like in street clothes, like he walked right off the street. And I'm like, this is insane. One guy rolls with a huge team, and the other guy's like, yeah, I'm here. What do you mean? I'm going to the bodega after this, and then I'm going to here. Like, it was just kind of like mind blowing a little bit for me. But are you still going to work at Bethel a little bit?
Oh hell no!
All right.
I stopped after 2018 because they gave me hell. I'm not going to get into it because like it was a chain of my other coworkers not getting what they wanted, but also just political shit up there. It made me not want to go back and like do the same thing for little to no change at all.
I knew a guy I know. He had I guess his friend or an acquaintance was a guy that worked the parking. You know, they would wear like the vest and they would tell everybody where to park when you get there and shit like that.
Yeah.
So he knew someone who did that, and there was a show coming up that he wanted to go to. So he said, "Yo, like, let me borrow your vest, and I'll go and I'll sneak in." And it worked.
That's funny.
He went, and then because I guess there's so many people that are working at some point here, it's like, oh yeah, you know, I'm new, I'm over here, and they're like, oh yeah, whatever.
Now Bethel is like the top rated like pavilion, probably in the tri-state area. Like we have like the best security, the best building and grounds, but we get overwhelmed with the amount of people because we always do like an estimate. Like I remember there was like this like Excel sheet. It would show the performing artist, whatever, and then the rough count of what they expect like people to like take the seats and the lawn. They always forget there's people that are just coming to drink, whatever. So people are probably going to sneak in, and somehow they do. They somehow do. They have. So you know, at Bethel, how there's the lawn for parking, but then there's the big lawn where Woodstock was actually held. There's always people trying to like hop the fence or go into the woods and just like trot through mud just to like run up the hill where the Woodstock actually was and try to just make it up top. And there's somehow dozens and dozens and dozens of people make it through there. Some of them get tackled and then thrown in Bethel jail. That's a thing. Bethel jail. It's just this little house, and they just throw you in this little room for a few hours, I guess. They're like, don't do that ever again.
Yeah, it's like when people
law
get
and order, blah blah,
arrested
blah.
At Yankee Stadium. They get thrown in the little Yankee Stadium jail.
You tried to see a country star? No, you won't. I'm throwing you in here for the next 15 minutes. I don't know. I know people that got locked up, quote unquote, in there, and they've gotten out within like an hour. And for some reason, they're still at the concert.
They're still there.
Go home.
They're like, yeah, you can. Well, we're gonna let you out of this room, but be sure to go home. And you're
all right. I'm gonna get out of Bethel jail. And I'm gonna go buy a souvenir T-shirt. I'm gonna just swap shirts, and I'm gonna go back in.
I'm gonna fucking watch the thing that I came here to watch.
Yeah. Oh my lord. Chris, you want to get tried to get thrown into Bethel jail?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whenever the society opens back up.
Yes, when COVID ends and
when they make that vaccination, I'm just injecting 10 of those motherfuckers right into my neck. Be like, yo, let's go to Bethel. Let's freaking go.
I'm going to Bethel jail. Straight to jail.
Just okay. I'm healthy, I think.
You
Why is my
signing
neck
up, Nick?
swollen
You're
up?
gonna be one of the first guys to take it.
Oh no. I'm gonna wait a month because all these humans got to be my lab rats. So
It's
They,
like
the,
it's
I
like when
want to
the
know who
PS4 comes out or PS5. You're like, yeah,
They said that people it's like a 90 whatever or 90% effective rate.
Yep,
I'm like, who are they
that's it.
testing it on? Who has it been tested on already?
Apparently, I think I'm gonna fact check this real quick. I think before I Google this because I'd like to say
This
the
is
words
where
that
we
come out of my
need-
mouth first.
You know how Rogan's podcast where he's got that guy that you never see? I forget his name. Jamie, I think it is, and he always pulls the
Jamie
shit
J.
up that they're talking about.
we need
I
one
think
of
they
those.
said they've tested this vaccine in Rockland County actually on 40 something thousand people already.
Yeah, I've
Like,
been working in the building above it. No joke, doing glass. We literally in the Pfizer building.
Really?
Yeah, on top of it. Yeah.
where's that?
Steal that vaccine, bro.
Nah, we're not allowed.
Come on.
We're literally allowed on the roof, and that's it.
All right.
That's crazy.
You won't do it, but I know someone who will do it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to tap into that. But yeah, I mean,
Rockland County?
it's in yeah, it's right over like by Muncie. I forget
Wow.
exactly.
That's like the red zone right now.
Yep. That's why we go past security, we go into the building, we go on to the top floor, and there's like a skylight that we've been working on. I haven't been there in like a month or so, but yeah, we're doing the skylight for that through glass decks.
Oh,
Shout at them.
Chris, how
but
long have you been doing like
Windows?
glass work for?
I think since 2017, so it's basically like 3 years off and on, kind of depending. Like the way being like I've been working with them as opposed to like a company that I didn't really know. They've been very lenient for if I need to do like video work and other things like that. So that's been like a blessing.
that's great.
And then like kind of like with now in the beginning with COVID, I kind of took a little bit of time off just to like see how everything was going, and I didn't want to like just go there like I didn't know how strict people were being, and I didn't want to like subject myself to possibly getting it and then bringing it home to like my family. So I was like, I took a little time off there, and then yeah, but I mean it's awesome working with friends and just people who are great, you know. And I know like you work with your family, right? So
Oh yeah, my dad's business.
exactly. So that's kind of cool too, being able to, I mean, for me, like it's cool to get more time with your friends and family. So like,
who's hiring? I might be out of work in a couple days.
you think so? Or are they giving you that, or you know?
It's the rumor that's flying around.
Oh, gotcha.
Is it because of that 10 p.m. curfew thing, or?
Well, that we just enforced that the last 2 days, which I know a lot of people aren't happy about.
They can fuck themselves.
And but I guess the governors of New York, Vermont, Connecticut, Jersey, and PA all had a meeting and to discuss, I don't know, what they're going to do if the numbers don't dip. And a lot of people, like I say rumors, but it's just what our coworkers are talking, and everyone has their different conspiracy theories of what's going to happen. But the common one is that they're not going to go into a full lockdown again,
Mm-hmm.
but they're going to shut down dine-in restaurants again, to help slow the spread. So we'll see.
You think we're gonna have another lockdown? Nothing like crazy, like 3 months, but another short-term one, maybe.
I think it's possible.
A lot
possible.
of other European countries are shutting down.
I've seen other people too, where they're like, I swear to God, if they do 6 to 8 weeks of lockdown, like there's gonna be a revolution. I'm like, oh yeah, are you gonna do it? You're gonna be the guy. You're gonna be the one to get up in arms and go towards a government official.
I thought you said law. I thought you said law and order, good sir.
right?
Yeah,
That's what you've
This is
been
the
preaching.
law.
But do you know the funny thing is too, like, or just like my perspective on it is I would totally rather do it now in the cold months because I hate the fucking cold than, be in like spring again or summer and like, hey, we got to do this again. Like, not like,
I hate seeing the shit on Facebook, especially like, oh, even though the COVID deaths are up, did you know that the flu deaths are down? It's like, yeah, that's
Oh.
because it's hot out now, you fucking idiot.
there's a lot of,
Well, that was over the summer, I'm saying, but like,
yeah. Or just people saying that like being like, there's a flu that, like, why, like the flu's deadlier than this. Why should we worry? It's like, well,
Well, so they were saying that too. Like the flu kills more people per year, and I'm like, I'm not disputing that. But do you think these procedures that we're taking could help stop that as well? Maybe we can help drop those numbers too.
No more flu.
I mean, the flu you'll never get because it's a different strand every year, and it evolves. So that unfortunately you'll never fucking get rid of. But if you can slow it and kill less people, is that not a plus? Right?
nope.
Maybe
It's a government conspiracy.
People just want to go to their bars and do nothing else with the rest of their lives. How about just stay home and do nothing with your life? Bam, problem solved.
Get a bottle and drink at home. Pretty simple.
Yeah, we were telling people last night. We were like, because we tell everyone like the cutoff is so it's not like we have to close by 10. The customers have to be out by 10. Like there's got to be nobody in the building but the staff. So normally, like in a normal closing, let's say we close at 11 o'clock. If you're sitting at the bar, and we'll let you sit around, and we don't like kick you out at 11. We give you a little bit of time to kind of finish your drink, pay your tab, finish whatever conversation you're having, and ease you out. Where this was it's like a hard out. It's like 10 o'clock, you got to be out. So we're supposed to stop sitting people at like 9:15. So that would hopefully give you a small little window that you can order your food, get your food, eat it, and not feel too rushed, and then be out, and then pay and be out by 10 o'clock. But like last night, there was like a couple, probably like 4 or 5 tables that are sitting there at like 9:58, and we're like,
jeez,
you gotta go. And they're like, all right, we're just, I'm like, no, this is like not a thing. Like, you gotta go now.
Well, we're just what, dicking around? Freaking taking up Steve's precious 2 minutes.
I'm coming in on Friday at 9:40 and demanding food.
Yeah, we'll be like, take out windows over there, pal. Go eat in your car.
And I'll be like, nope, I want a table, and I'm going to eat this very slowly.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, people just, they're very entitled, so they think that, that they have to be catered to.
Steve, have you dealt with any Karens at Chili's? Like,
yeah,
not like your whole entire career. I'm talking about like in regards to masks, sanitizing stuff, wait times.
Yeah. We there was and after this story, we'll get towards like wrapping it up. But it was this past Wednesday I was bartending, and every other booth is, I mean, Nick, you were just in the other day, you saw it. Like we space, there's like little signs. There's little like plastic laminated signs putting on booths in the bar top to say like, you can't sit here. And so the booths are every other booth because we don't have the plastic dividers. And because of how close our bar top is to our booths, we can't sit every booth. So they have to be every other one to do that way. It spaces 6 feet from the bar top and the other booths. So the 2 ones that are able to be sat are filled. So this guy comes walking in and sits himself right in the one that has a laminated sign on it that says this table is closed due to state regulation and safety, regulations. And then there's also a spray bottle with sanitizer. And then there's a roll of paper towels all sitting on this table. And he proceeds to sit himself down at it. And I have to go over and I'm like, hey, how you doing today, buddy? And he's like, oh, I'm good. I'm like, listen, I unfortunately you can't sit here. I apologize due to the state mandate and the health code regulations. I do have like 2 bar stools right over there. They're open. You're more than welcome to have a seat there. Well, why can't? Is this just COVID bullshit? And I'm like, yeah, it is. And he's like, oh, this is such bullshit. And then like the guy that he was with, he was parking the car. And now he walks in and he's like, what's going on? He's like, oh, they're moving us to the bar. Why? And he's like, oh, this stupid COVID. You can't. And he's like, oh, we can't fucking sit anywhere we want to sit. And I'm like, okay, guys, just right here. Just come on, right here. So they sit down at the bar. And my coworker, he starts them up. He takes care of them. I go to him and I'm like, two of us were bartending, me and another guy. So I go to the other guy. I'm like, hey, you can take care of them. I'm not fucking dealing with them. So he starts them up. He takes care of them. And then when it comes time to where they're sitting is right in front of our cash register. So it just so happened at the time that they were leaving was the time that I was ringing in another table's order. So I'm standing right in front of them. And they get up and they start leaving. And I'm just like, guys, have a great night. Stay safe. He turns around. He's like, I remember when they used to pack this bar. There wouldn't be you had to fight for a seat in here. The whole place would be packed. And I'm like, yeah, me too. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I bet you can't do that now. I bet you can't sit everybody in here now. And I'm like, yeah, because we're not allowed. Not because people stop fucking coming in, you idiot. Oh, let's get out of here. I'm like, all right, whatever. Go fuck yourself.
And the
Like
funny
a bag
thing,
of dicks to go with that.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, like, that affects you more than it affects him, because like that's cutting into your income, and he's just being minorly inconvenienced. Not even for a very long time. He just has to move literally because there was 2 seats open. But you're just being a douchebag because you fucking are being inconvenient.
How old would you say these guys are? Like what, 50, 60?
The one guy was probably in like his 70s or 80s,
Ooh.
and the other guy was in
That's
like his
one
50s.
thing I don't get. How are old people like that not concerned about their own freaking health at all? Like,
bro, the amount of elderly. I mean, it's a free country. If you want to come out and eat and do what you want to do, that's fine. Free country, do what you want. But the amount of people that we see that come in that we're like, you're probably the demographic that should not be here is fucking mind blowing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
mind blowing. But rant over.
go suck some eggs, old man.
Yeah.
And some-
Fucking plane traffic.
Yeah, fucking just don't get it. Glad that the whole world has gone to the conspiracy of just trying to fucking punk us.
Yeah.
So what else could we talk about for the next 10, 15 minutes?
I mean, anything you got in your mind. That's
what. Yeah.
That's all I really had locked and loaded. What are we at now? About an hour 20, an hour 15?
I don't even know. No, we started in the beginning for a little bit, but
I think we started 9:50, something like that.
yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Look at my phone.
Oh yeah, photo and video stuff. What are you guys doing besides the podcast?
No, I mean nothing.
I've been able to do a couple shoots. I haven't taken on so much during like all this, but there's been a couple things that I knew I could like kind of still stay safe. So I actually did a shoot on Friday night. And it was just like a little bit before, like, I guess, I don't know if they have a full curfew now in the city, or if it's just like bars and restaurants, but we did it like relatively earlier than that curfew. By the time I was done, I just pretty much like in the past where I would have kind of hung out and went somewhere in the city, I just came home. But yeah, I mean, I've been doing a lot more learning too, and kind of like teaching myself stuff, trying to edit some old footage too. What about you?
It's good with MV Pictures.
Yes,
with MV Pictures. So it's sort of like once a month or once every other month since, let's say, May, because I was doing absolutely nothing when the lockdown happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then people just got so bored. So I just threw it out to like just random people. Anybody want to do a social distance photo shoot? And yeah, I've done a grad shoot, like a few like Insta model shoots, and just a whole bunch of random stuff. And just this past month, early October, I did a wedding actually. Okay. Ceremony had to be very, very small, COVID reasons. What else?
Yeah.
I think the ceremony only had to consist of maybe 20 people or less. So
wow.
When they got married at the venue, it just after blah, 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 I do kiss the bride. All right, take pictures for 15 minutes and then get the heck out of here. I'm like, okay, let's do this. And wrapped it up as quickly as we could. Then we went back to the place where they had the ceremony, and they had the ceremony outside so they could do whatever the heck they wanted. Still, social distance, make sure everything is clean, whatever. And yeah, going to the ceremony was actually optional. They're like, oh, do you want to take more pictures? We'll pay you more. I'm like, oh, hell yeah. And it's like, oh, yeah, you get free food and free drinks. I'm like, even better. Awesome. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And then they had like a karaoke machine set up in the corner. So I'm taking pictures of everybody doing the karaoke and just group pictures and people drinking, having a good time and stuff. And like, I'm drunk as fuck taking these pictures and they came out crystal clear.
Nice.
And
Hey, there
then
you go.
after I'm like, oh, I guess I'm done. I better put this down before anything bad happens. And then they're like, Nick, you want to do a comedy set over the karaoke machine? I'm like, let's freaking go. And apparently I did very good.
Oh, nice.
It was a very good day. That was like the biggest thing that I've done this year because I was supposed to do a couple other weddings. One over the summer and one was supposed to be on Halloween, actually. But the world is unkind to me and everybody else.
Yeah. Don't worry, we're all in this sinking ship together.
Yeah. It's gonna reset in 2021. Don't worry about it.
Oh, I hope.
Virus is just gonna commit suicide in 2021.
It's just
gonna magically
disappear in April when the warmer months.
It was done. Ba-bang.
I think it'll be done cured by April, by Easter. It'll be good by Easter.
This
I
is
know
a
I said it was a
democratic.
conspiracy theory, but
It's a democratic.
he won, but
Gone.
it was rigged.
It's gonna be gone by the election. You watch. Joe Biden will win, and the virus will be over.
Okay. While we're on the terms of conspiracy theories right now, I do
All right.
want to say this. Why? Doesn't matter who you believe in. Why is it right after the election, 6 days after the election, they say, "Oh yeah, we got a pretty good vaccine now." Like, you're saying this right after the election because?
Well, honestly, I think I saw like the. I don't. Was it?
I'm not saying it's conspiracy, but
I know.
part of my mind is saying something.
I know.
Turn into Eddie Bravo there.
Right. I forget if it was actually that like right after it or if it was like a day before that they said like a 90% rate. I thought it was like a little bit before, but who knows? It could be all that.
After election day itself, like, because, they had to do the counts and everything like that. And after the electoral counts were made, like maybe a day or two later, they're like, oh yeah, there's a vaccine. Anyway, Kanye West, you hear about him? Don't try to distract me. I'm on to you.
I know your game.
You know what I'm going to do about it? Absolutely nothing, because I'm just an open mic and show comedian in the middle of nowhere.
But we're going to get these out.
New York.
We're going to get this out over the airwaves, and somebody's going to do something about it.
Dan Leahy will make a movie about it, and I'm going to watch it.
God,
Shout out Dan Leahy.
What a year. I feel like that's like brought up every podcast, but what
Dan
a
Leahy.
year. No, just us saying like what a year it's been. Everybody's been in the same boat, so it's kind of just like a way to vent and just pin it all on this year, but it's definitely been a hell of a year.
These episodes are time capsules.
Yeah.
It has everyone's thoughts and expressions in the moment of the year, and we'll go back in 2040 and listen to it.
And we'll be like, damn, 2020 was such a year. I saw a TikTok, which was actually really funny. And it's like, they kind of been going around where they're talking to God and God's like telling him to do something, but the angel is mishearing how he says it. So one of them was like a pandemic, but they schedule a pandemic. And then this one was, did you schedule all the events for the 2020s? And he was like, 2020s? Yeah, 2020s. What did you 2020. So he scheduled
put them all into 1 year.
Yeah, the whole decade for a year's worth of.
All right, so this is what's happening this year. Okay, so there's going to be a pandemic, okay?
Exactly.
And then there's going to be all these riots, and all these people are going to just throw bricks at buildings and some spray paint, and then they're going to blame the other side for it, and Eddie Van Halen's going to die, and then Alex Trebek.
And it's just really funny because they start like getting like slower with their
Your mother's a
speech.
whore, Trebek.
And they
You know
start,
how
both
this
crying.
year, I saw this tweet the other day. It's like, after Kobe Bryant died, I knew 2020 was going to be an awful year. I'm like,
True.
Word.
True.
somehow
Very true.
this basketball player is the reason why catastrophic events.
He was the
have
glue that
struck
was
this-
holding the world together.
Yeah. Oh Lord.
That's how the year started
So-
off, though.
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
World War III, then Kobe Bryant. There we go.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I think you're actually correct there.
Are we still at a world war? I don't know.
I think
Been home.
I think we're into a civil war now.
Yeah, we've moved on to Civil War.
Yeah, we're trying to hit every war.
I want to watch the Gangs of New York again.
Any closing comments? Before we
Closing
wrap this up.
comments. Back to the ego boost. Follow me on Instagram, EnvyBaileyX and Envy_pictures_ New York. I might change that soon. Not too sure, but you should. Facebook, don't find me. Twitter, you're not going to like it. Snapchat, I hate Snapchat. Just follow me on Instagram. That's my favorite one. Vine, MySpace, you could find me there, I think.
Bringing them back.
AOL, freaking pigeon carrier, dove, whatever. Pigeon dove. No, that's an oxymoron. I listed. That's two birds. Oop.
A pigeon dove.
That's the new social media platform.
Carrier message.
The pigeon
blah, blah,
dove.
blah. That's why it's called a tweet.
Mm-hmm.
Lord.
Go suck some
Yes.
eggs.
Follow him. I think everyone should follow him on Twitter as well, because I enjoy your Twitter and your comments that I see that you leave on other people's stuff. So I enjoy it. Follow him on Twitter as well.
There we go.
All right,
gentlemen,
folks.
it's been a pleasure.
Yes, always a pleasure.
That's it. That's all I'm saying. It's been
That's
a
all.
That's it.
Sorry, we really haven't figured out a way to close it. We just kind of all
Yeah.
Awkwardly.
There's no closing.
United States government killed Michael Jackson. I have the evidence.
the way we the way we end the show usually is like an awkward ass out hug.
The United States government killed Michael Jackson.
You got to reiterate.
is.
And
Not saying it's conspiracy, but the conspiracy theory part of my mind is saying something.
I don't know if you know this, but jet fuel can't burn steel. So just throwing that out there.
What's a jet?
Exactly. We don't even have that yet. We don't have the technology.
Are those like giant birds that spew out chemtrails?
Oh, don't even get into chemtrails.
Space is fake.
We've never landed on the moon.
Space is fake.
Mars is a basketball.
That's a
where
good one. I like that. Do you know
B. Brian is space and Mars is a basketball.
real quick, do you know what's really funny that I think about everybody who thinks that like the Earth is flat? Like, what about the other planets?
You guys should get Nina on the podcast.
Ooh,
Just talk about the Mandela effect for 9 years.
that is true. She does like the Mandela effect. I believe it though. Not really.
Yeah.
Not really.
I'd love to talk about it.
All right, though. Appreciate
All right.
everything. Appreciate
Thank you
having
so much, guys.
Definitely hope that the endeavors in comedy are very fruitful, and we'll be once
pretty fruity.
once things are back to normal, we can definitely have to go to a show.
I'll let you know.
Definitely. All right, buddy.
It gets sleazy.
Peace.